Hello everyone and welcome back to the 3T Path channel. My name is Giridhari, and today we're continuing with our Gita Mahatmya series. Gita Mahatmya is a wonderful section from the Padma Purana that describes the special powers of each chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It's a conversation between Lord Vishnu and Lakshmidevi. And today we're doing the 5th chapter's amazing powers. This is like one of the best stories so far, so fasten your seatbelts. It's a story with sex, drugs, and rock and roll almost from, the Vedic times. So here we go. Sri Vishnu said, "Now I will describe to you the unlimited glories of the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Listen very carefully," he tells Lakshmidevi. "In the state of Madra, there is a town called Puru Kutsapur. There lived a Brahmana by the name of Pingala. During his childhood, he was trained in various Brahminical activities and was taught the Vedas. But he had no interest in his studies. When he reached his youth, he gave up his Brahminical pursuits and started to learn to play instruments as well as singing and dancing." So it's already funny. It's like, this serious Brahminical family, study. He's like, no, rock and roll. He just wants to do his thing. Slowly he became so famous in this field that the king himself invited him to live in the palace. While he was living there, he slowly degraded more and more into sinful life. He started to enjoy with other men's wives and engage in all kinds of sinful activities and intoxication. So he really went for the whole sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing, Vedic style. And of course, the king was the equivalent of the rich and famous back then. So imagine him, with like movie stars and having a great time with his music, singing, and having sex with all sorts of people. He became so proud of his position as he gained more and more intimacy with the king. So he's got pride going as well, because the king thinks he's super cool. He's just feeling, all that fame is going to his head. He especially enjoyed criticizing others to the king in private. Pingala had a wife called Aruna, who was born in a low-class family. She was very lusty and enjoyed relationships with many other men. When her husband found out about her activities, she decided to kill him. So he marries this lady, and she's off with everybody else as well. And then when he finds out that she's been cheating him, she decides to kill him, not vice versa. She's the one who decides to kill him. So late one night, she chopped off his head and buried his body in the garden. After his death, Pingala fell into the deepest regions of hell, and after having suffered there for a long time, he took birth as a vulture. So, he had this degraded life, sex, drugs, and rock and roll life, and so he had lots of karma, bad karma accumulated. So when he dies, horrible death, he still has to go to hell. And then after going to hell, he takes birth as a vulture. Because as you know, the Vedic idea of hell is like a temporary place where people go to really burn up some bad karma, and automatically as well, parallel to what, the suffering for that specifically burning some bad karma, it prepares the soul for taking birth in an animal species. So then he takes birth as a vulture. Aruna, that's his wife, his murderous wife, after freely enjoying with many men, contracted venereal disease, and her youthful body very soon became ugly and unattractive. So she was also on the way down. She finally got some STD and became ugly and unattractive. When she died, she went on to hell, and after having suffered for a long time, she attained the body of a female parrot. So she too went to hell, got prepared for an animal birth, and then she took birth as a parrot. So this is a really wild story, but it gets better. One day, that parrot was searching here and there for food. In the meantime, the vulture, who in his previous life had been Pingala, saw the female parrot, and remembering his past life and understanding that this parrot had been his wife, he attacked her with his sharp beak. So, you know, he had some good karma accumulated, so he could remember his past life. So as a vulture, he sees the parrot and he's like, oh, it's you. You killed me. I'm gonna get you back now. So he attacks her. It's a big vulture attacking a parrot, so the parrot had no chance. The parrot fell down into the water contained in a human skull and drowned. So get this, right? So the parrot falls into the water contained in a human skull and drowns. Just then, a hunter came and shot the vulture with an arrow. So this reincarnated Pingala is like, yeah, I got her back. But just as he was like rejoicing in his victory, he is killed as well by a hunter. The vulture fell and his head dropped into that same water of that skull, and he also drowned in the water of that skull. So they met again. So, you know, they meet again and they both die drowned in the water in this human skull. What a bizarre situation. So what's going to happen now? Then the messengers of Yamaraj came and took them to the abode of death. So then, you know, you die, you go back to Yamaraj's for, you know, seeing what's going to happen next. At that time, they became very afraid, remembering their past sinful life. So they knew that though they had gone to hell and taken birth as an animal, they still had lots of bad karma. Because in a human life, you can generate so much bad karma. Millions of years of bad karma. So it's not like just a little stint in hell is not going to burn up your bad karma. So they were like, oh no, we're back here with Yamaraj. Oh my gosh, you know. And what's happened, you know, what are we going to get now? You know, it's like, oh no. But then, when they came in front of Yamaraj, Yamaraj told them, you are now free of all your sins, and you may go to Vaikuntha. When Pingala and Aruna heard this, they inquired from Yamaraj, how can two sinful persons, who has, you know, such as they, had attained the right to go to Vaikuntha? Like, we're getting liberated? How is this even possible? They're like, what is going on? Yamaraj replied, on the banks of the river Ganga lived a great devotee of Sri Vishnu by the name of Vat. He was free from lust and greed, which of course they both had a lot of. Daily he recited the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and when Vat gave up his body, he went straight to Vaikuntha. Due to his reciting the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita daily, his body became completely pure. And because of you coming in contact with the skull of that body, that's the skull they drowned in. Because you came in contact with the skull of that body, of that devotee, you both have attained the right to go to Vaikuntha. This is the glory of the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Amazing story. Sri Vishnu said, my dear Lakshmi, when they both heard the glories of Bhagavad Gita from Yamaraj, they became very happy and sat down in the flower airplane which had come to take them to Vaikuntha. Anyone who hears the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, even the most sinful, will attain Vaikuntha. So that's it. That's Lord Vishnu telling you directly that if you just listen to the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, you will attain Vaikuntha too. And so it's a wonderful story. Let me know if you enjoy that, and have the rest of your day with lots of peace and lots of love.